Great, I started recording now. So hello everyone again. So welcome to the info session on exchange programs at the School of Maths and Stats. So I'll just give you how things look from our side, what we basically plan for you, and also you're going to hear from hopefully UCD Global and the program directors basically about further details. So this is relevant to you if you're considering to pursue a single major degree in one of the School of Maths and Stats courses, one of the 4 courses, which are the ACM, the Applied and Computational Mathematics, Financial Mathematics, or Statistics next year. And if you intend to go to an exchange program in stage 3, okay? So I suspect that you're already in that category, so that's why you're here. So there are different destinations for different courses. So you already received an email about that, and I'm going to go over those. And it's important to bear this in mind, for the application process as well. And each of these are decided by the program directors of each course, and the program directors, and some of them are with us today, and hopefully they're going to answer some of the questions you might have, are Connor Sweeney for ACM, and Adamaria Perotta for financial maths. For mathematics, it's Michael McKee, and statistics, it's Michael Fogg. So the complete list of possible destinations that you could go in one of our courses was emailed to you. And so, if you, as I said, there are different there are different options for different courses. For ACM, if you want to decide, if you want to go to an exchange for ACM as a single major, you have one approved choice. That's University of British Columbia. And one thing to note is that there are further restrictions here. That you can go to British Columbia majoring in ACM only in autumn trimester 1. Autumn trimester. This is trimester 1. So this one is redundant here. So you see, it's not only the number of choices are limited. The trimesters actually you could go for the reason that there's only good matching for that trimester. There's further restrictions on that front as well. You should bear that in mind. For financial math, there are 8 approved destinations. Okay, and these are listed here, which I'm not going to go through in detail, but you already have the email, and we have the link on our school website under the study tab, so you can access all this information there anytime as well. So one thing to note about the financial maths programs is that some of the modules in the 8th option here, University of Perugia, are taught in Italian. Okay, so that's one thing to bear in mind, and the other, otherwise all the information that you might need is already included in this list. For mathematics, there are 6 options. And again, with special restrictions as per which trimester you could go, you should keep also that in mind. And for statistics, there are 4. So the key, again, thing to remember when you're filing your application for exchanges next year is that this is the final list for exchanges to take place next academic calendar. Okay, so if you're intending to go to exchanges next year, this is the list that you're going to be choosing from. And no alternative destinations will be approved. So keep that in mind. So all applications are to be placed through SysWeb. So there's a new application interface that UCD Global is instating. I think it's going to be live next week or in 2 weeks' time. Sorry.
2 weeks.
Thanks, Lisa.
We'll send an email with the exact date, though.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's good that I was vague then. I kind of remembered November 19, but I wasn't sure. So in 2 weeks, let's say. Sorry. So, and here's how the first page will look like. So I thank again UCD Global because I stole, this screenshot from their presentation. I was taking screenshots when they were doing the presentation, and this is basically how the first page on SysWeb is going to look like to create your application. It might change tiny bit. I don't know. I cannot promise anything because I'm not really developing this side, but roughly it should look like this, I guess. So as you see, there's like this, you know, the most important information that I'm going to talk about later a bit more is this duration of exchange bit. So you need to be careful with this because not all destinations are approved for a random choice. Okay, so there's not one solution for all options that you might take on. So this is the first page. So as I said, you need to remember at this stage that if you're considering to take part in an exchange program as a single major in one of the courses, only the list of options during the indicated trimester choices will be approved. So for the if I just go back to the previous slide, so when you're basically making the choice here in the so if you're making a choice here in the duration of exchange, you need to keep in mind that, like, you know, the choice of a school that you're going to make as a destination needs to somehow it needs to be sort of module matched for the indicated trimester here. Like, you know, the trimester that you're going to choose here should be already approved. So you need to keep that in mind. So here is how the page where you're going to elect your options will look like. Or maybe I should just say, sorry, before I move on. So you see, it might happen that, you know, you basically have multiple destinations in mind, which you are allowed to, like, nominate 2 options or 3 options or whatever options, like, you know, as possible destinations. And it might happen that they are approved for 2 different trimesters. So let's go back a tiny bit to, let's say, financial maths. Say your top option is Santa Barbara, which you can go in spring trimester, but you're also to go to Connecticut, which you can go in autumn trimester. So if you basically make these choices, you know, and also you indicate what trimester you're going to be taking. You see, you need to make a choice here in the application page, duration of exchange. So what do you choose here? So here is basically my solution to this, which Lisa, like, you know, if you object to this, let me know. You basically choose here your top option, and in the additional comments bit down here, you basically indicate that this option works, like, you know, the option that you've chosen works for the top choice you're gonna make, and for others, you can go in other trimesters as well. Okay, so you should probably highlight that information there. Okay, Lisa approves. Sorry. All right. So as I said, you know, that, you know, you're going to be making multiple choices, and not, you know, all these multiple choices might not have one good trimester. And if not, you need to indicate that in this additional comments. That's basically the bottom line. And here is, like, you know, the page where you're going to make choices will look like. So you see, like, you know, you can make lots of choices, and in our case, since there are restrictions as per the trimesters you could go, you know, not all options are going to work for all trimesters. So there's no good one answer for the choice of the trimester, and that you should indicate in the additional information bit on the start page. That's basically what I'm recommending. That's going to help everyone later on. So as another thing to notice that's really important again is that you'll see more number of options to choose from here. So for example, any of these choices that you see by luck, none of them apply for maths or, like, you know, or any of the courses that we offer. Okay. So when you see, like, you know, more number of options here, that doesn't mean that you can actually choose one of those. So it's important to remember that, like, you know, you're going to be choosing from the only pre-approved destinations that has been emailed to you. Okay. So this list that I have shared, like, you know, the school office have shared with you a couple of weeks back, like, you know, tells you what are the pre-approved options, and you can only choose among those. Okay. So that's basically the key information here. And, like, you know, you should not make a mistake of just choosing a random destination here, because that will not be approved. Okay. So, you know, I think another thing to note is that, like, you know, just to make sure, if you go through the UCD Global website, I think now there's a link to our school web pages, which basically includes all the approved options anyway. So I think there's like, it's pretty much fail safe. Like, one way or the other, hopefully you won't be making the wrong choice here by just choosing a random option here, but like you should be consulting on our lists. And applications will be open from mid-November to mid-January. That's basically the rough timeline. Now, so basically so here, let me just outline like, how the process is going to go from your end and like, from our end as well. So you're going to place your application through SysWeb and the deadline is mid-January. And I don't know, I mean, I think there's like a, indicated deadline, but it's roughly mid-January, I guess, every year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa. Yeah, apparently it's correct. Good, thanks. And then based on this, UCD Global is going to assign recommended placements. You will not know about this. So that's going to be communicated to our program directors. I mean, I guess through myself, but this is actually also, a piece of information that's relevant to our program directors who are here with us. And then the program directors will approve or reject the placement. So if you have not chosen an approved destination for an approved duration, then, and most probably only then, the placement will be rejected. Okay. So you need to be careful with the, you need to be careful with the list, with the options that you're nominating as your potential destination. They need to be pre-approved by our program directors, and they should be, as such, they should be in the lists that I've shared with you already. And then, like, UCD Global will edit the recommendation based on the suggestion. And then by the end of February or so, I mean, I think that at least this is the promised date, like, on the information session that I attended, UCD Global will announce the outcome of your application. So your dealings will be directly with the UCD Global most of the time. And the program directors will basically do the academic approvals behind the scene, but your interaction will be like, only through UCD Global, in fact, only through SysWeb, if I understand things right. Okay, so this is roughly how the procedure looks like. So maybe I should, ask here, UCD Global, Lisa, Kio, and Manon, like if you have anything to add at this stage.
I don't think so, because I'm not from my side anyway. Maybe Manon does. We will send out, because it's a new application system, we're just figuring out the exact date. Believe it is around 24th November, but the students will receive an email with the exact opening date and closing date before it opens. And there's no panic on the students to apply immediately in November, because the application is open all the way through January. And it's actually a really, like, once the students have checked that they can go to what universities that they can apply to, it's actually not a very detailed or complicated application. It's a handful of questions. So it's once you've done your research on the universities you want to go to, you could submit the application form in a couple of minutes.
That's great.
So with that in mind, I don't think there's anything from my side, unless Manon wants to add anything in.
Yep, I think all's great.
Great, thanks. Good. Yeah, I mean, it's not really all complicated. Maybe, like, I made things sound a bit more complicated than scary. It's not. It's just too rigid, maybe, and it's for your benefit also, not to have headaches. Like, when you leave UCD, like, when you spend the time abroad, it might happen that you just go to a random place, and it might happen that you cannot take all the modules that you're supposed to take to complete your degree. So that's the reason we're kind of, we have to follow this very rigid structure. And that's the reason why, like, you might basically be, you might need to be careful with the options that you're nominating. So any comments from the program directors? Any questions?
Kazim, can I add something?
Of course, please. Yeah.
I'm the program director of the financial maths. What I want to add that to build this list, we already made some adjustments. So sometimes we do we ask special permission to swap one module in stage 3 with one module in stage 4. So we try to accommodate in general this kind of exchange. But the reason why it's very rigid, it's because when people come back, they could have not the prerequisites to keep going. So it's not that we are so strict because we are mathematicians, you know, but it's just because we are trying to look at the full structure of the program, and contemporary, we want to make the exchange, worthy for the student. If it must turn into a mess when they go back, we don't approve it. So this is the reason why, as program director, sometimes we can't approve. It's just because of this, and this is also the reason why we are strict on the semester, because some university are good for semester 1, some other for semester 2. So this is the reason why students must be very, very careful when they pick their choice.
Perfect. Thank you, Ada Maria. Thanks. Anything else? So anyone else to add something among other program directors? Well, you can ask later on, I guess. Well, I'll probably now pause here for questions and answers from students. So if you have anything to ask, please raise them now. Maybe I should check if I'm receiving anything on the chat, but no, not yet. So yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. Questions, anyone? So I see now there are 2 chats. Good. So yeah, one question is that, are there no exchange programs for joint degrees? And the answer is no, unfortunately not. So this is only for single majors. Okay, so our exchange program only is approved for single majors. Yeah. And the second question was, what is the opening date? And it's in 2 weeks' time. I think that, you know, the date is not clear at this stage, but it's within 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, we'll email students.
We'll get an email. Yeah, so there's no reason to worry about that. Great. Thanks, Lisa, again.
That's all right.
Any other questions? You can either raise them. Is GPA weighted as normal for the trimester spent abroad? If I understand right, yes. I mean, whatever GPA maybe Ada Maria could correct me.
It's it's GPA neutral, the semester abroad. So basically, what is important is that they pass all the modules, because we can have problem, you know, because each institution has their own way to resit a failed module. So in general, what I suggest is that they pass everything instead of focusing maybe on taking higher grade. Yeah.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah, I guess this answers the question. So it's GPA neutral, so that's the answer. Any further questions? All right. So I guess we can conclude this session. It was shorter than I expected, which is not a
Kasim, I think there's one more question there from Shauna.
Oh yeah, there's just one student. Yes, good.
Yeah, so I think I might answer this one because
very good. Thanks.
Yeah, so basically, is the number of places available for each university the same? Sean, it's not the same for each university. It's different for every university, depending on that university. And equally, just to point out that for the majority of the agreements, you'd be, I don't want to say competing, it's not the right word, but all UCD students in stage 3 and some in stage 4 are applying for those places. So it's not just science students, or it's not just math students. So yeah, just to keep that in mind as well. And basically it's the students with the top GPAs that get to go, the highest GPAs get to go, like the way the CAO system works. And there's one from Eamon.
Yeah, thanks. So if I didn't take an optional module that I would have to take next year, will I still be able to go on exchange? So is Michael Mackey here? That would be he would be the perfect person to answer this. But Ada Maria, do you have an answer to this? My answer would be that yes. I don't think option modules.
No, the important thing in general is that we cover the core module. We try to do the module matching on the core module, and we try to be flexible on the optional. Of course, it's better if they found out optional that are also in our programs. And when I referred to a special agreement for any swap is for core module, not for optional ones.
Right. Very good. Thank you very much, Ada Maria.
The question is slightly vague in that the student says that I would have to take next year. I'd just be careful the student isn't talking about a program core instead of an option. It's an option, you don't have to take it next year.
Right. I think that's what I understood. But yes, so is your question answered, Iman? Okay, the answer is I think so. So I hope so too then. Yeah. So if are there any further questions? Well, I guess not. So if you have further questions, you can of course always email us anyway. I mean, we'll be interacting for sure, like, you know, when you apply. And so yeah, so I guess I'm going to conclude this session here. And I thank again the UCD Global for attending, and also our program directors and helping me with the answers. So there's one more question, sorry, before we close. Is there information available on the cost of the exchanges?
I can answer this one, Kasim, if you want.
Yeah, please go ahead.
We did run a session on budgeting and applying for exchange, Oisin, so that will be going on our website pretty soon. There's a section on our website called Information Sessions. It's underneath how do I go on exchange. So if you just have a quick look on UC Global's website, have a quick search around, you'll definitely find it there. The cost of exchange varies dramatically depending on where you're going on exchange. So what we do suggest you to do is all of our partner websites have a page that has the cost of living at that university. So you can just do a quick Google search of, let's say, UBC cost of living, and they will have an estimated cost of accommodation, bills, all of those kind of things. And actually I see Manon's after putting up our link. Thanks, Manon. Yeah, so that's a really great place to start if you're interested in knowing the cost of living for a specific region or university. Is just check out our partner universities' websites, because they will have that information there.
Perfect. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, so the bottom line is, I guess UCD Global has now this very nice pages, and you can browse through that and you can find pretty much all the information you need, at least very soon. But if not, again, just don't hesitate to contact us, obviously. And Manon, like, you know, just sent this, shared this link for these information sessions, and you can take a look at those in case you missed them. Further questions? Great. Well, thanks again for everyone. Thanks again for attending, everyone. And, you know, let me know if you have any further questions. Bye then.
Bye, Kazim.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.